in just a few weeks, going to be taking this truck out west to Colorado from Tennessee. So it's about 21-hour drive each way, and I'll be staying around Colorado, kind of in the southern central-ish area, doing some off-roading, camping, exploring for about 3 weeks. So it's quite a trip, and I'll have a whole video talking about it, but the girlfriend and I are gonna be heading out there in each of our trucks together and spending about 3 weeks out in Colorado. So I wanted to get this thing completely dialed in, which includes a few things. One, I am missing well, I'm not missing, it's just a broken wheel stud in my rear driver's side wheel. So I wanna get that fixed. That way I can have all 6 of my lug nuts on this respective wheel. I also need to reinstall my recovery boards on the front roof rack. I have a couple bulbs I need to replace on the interior of the truck. Oh, the front skid plate needs to go back underneath the truck, so that way it's well protected from rocks and all that stuff. I don't want to go out there and then first thing I do is like ding a massive dent in my oil pan. So I want to put that back on for some protection. And over the next probably 2 weeks before we actually head out to Colorado, it's just going to be dialing this thing in. I've got a few parts that are on the way, which I'm extremely excited about. I'll give you a little hint as to one of them is going to be DIY beef racks for the GFC. So GFC does sell roof racks for this thing, but 1, they're really expensive, and 2, the mounting options are pretty darn limited. Whereas the build that I'm going with is gonna be a lot more, not universal, but have a lot more mounting options, be a little bit more low profile, and a heck of a lot cheaper. So look forward to that. I'm just waiting on some parts to come in to be able to assemble it all and put it together in a video for you guys. But got that coming in, and just a few other little things that are gonna be good for this truck to make the entire trip out in Colorado more enjoyable. So first things first, wanna tackle this wheel stud, get it popped out, put a new one in, and then while I'm at it, I'm actually gonna use some POR 15 on the rear drums to just clean them up and get rid of some of that rust. So I'm gonna start by jacking up the rear end from the rear differential, get both wheels and tires on the back end lifted up. That way I can, like I said, POR 15 both of the drum brakes on either side and get those cleaned up. And another thing on the way out to Colorado, I'm gonna be making a pit stop in Kansas to pick up my new rear tube bumper. So that's also part of the trip, which I'm extremely excited for, because I do like the look of no rear bumper. I think it actually looks kind of cool because you can really see like the leaf springs, the shackles, the shocks, all of that upgraded Chevy 63 setup. And I guess you get better clearance coming off of obstacles because you don't have that bumper that sticks out down here. However, there's absolutely no protection to the rear end of the truck body. And if my plan works for doing the rust removal and POR 15 on these, I'm gonna actually leave the truck jacked up, take the wheels off, and then turn the truck on and put it in drive, so that way the rear wheels are spinning, and you'll see what I mean. I'm hoping it's gonna make the rust removal process a lot faster. But I'm gonna put some jack stands under here just as an extra precaution. Okay, well that came down a lot faster than I wanted it to. That's good. This jack is tired. I've had this thing for so long and it needs to be replaced. But for now, it's what I got. So I'm pretty sure I've been missing this wheel stud since owning this Tacoma. So it's probably been like 5 years that I've had a broken wheel stud on this rear wheel. Off comes the wheel and revealing the very rusty drum brake. So I just realized I made a videographer error and my camera lens was set to manual focus. So hopefully everything up leading to this point was at least enjoyable to watch to an extent, but put it on autofocus now. So there's a couple ways to get these rear drum brakes off, at least from reading. I haven't done them on this truck yet, so we're about to find out. One is to smack it with a mallet. Probably need to do a lot of smacking. These are pretty rusty. Another way is to go through one of the ports on the backside and kind of release the tension on the brake shoes, so that way it will release. The last way that you should do this is there's a couple holes here with threads in them that you can run some, I want to say it's M8 by 1.25 thread pitch bolts through these two holes, and as you ratchet it down, it pulls the drum off of the brake assembly. So apparently you can kind of warp things if the brake pads, the shoes, kind of stay attached to this while you're unscrewing it, and then it bends a lot of the assembly behind here. So I'm hoping we don't have to go that route. I'm probably just gonna spend a lot of time smacking this, but I think I need to take my e-brake tension off, because obviously that's, I'm imagining pushing the shoes out onto this. So off comes the e-brake. And now, yeah, now we should be able to move that. So definitely not loose yet. Okay, well, I'm gonna do a lot of smacking on this. This could take me 5 more minutes or possibly an hour. So I will update you guys once I get this off, and we'll see how we go. I'm gonna try spraying a little bit of WD anywhere I possibly can. All right, so after smacking this for quite a while, no luck. I'm gonna try the bolts here, and again, it's M8 by 1.25 thread pitch. And we're gonna see if we can get this to release. Not yet, maybe a combination. That sounded good. Okay. Okay. All right, and off it comes. I hopefully didn't bend anything in here, and judging by the look of it, we may still have some life on these pads. Hopefully. There we go. Out comes the old one. And this has been a problem on my truck for a number of years, so I'm glad to finally get this fixed. So I picked up a few different pieces from the auto parts store. I picked up an open-ended new lug nut, and then I picked up 2 of these different style studs, the both of which on the Advanced Auto Parts website say they should fit my truck. However, you can maybe see that the little dimples or the rivets on this one are a lot longer than they are on this one. So what I'm thinking is this one with the smaller rivets is probably for the 2-wheel drive truck, and this one with the bigger ones or longer is for the 4-wheel drive truck. And if we compare it to the one that just came off the truck, you can see it's the longer style. So I'm not gonna use this one, I'm gonna use this one because it's a closer match. Hopefully that's in focus. So we'll take the new one, kind of find a spot where we can finagle it in here, like there. And then we're gonna kind of spin it to try and feel when those ridges kind of lock in, and I think that's about it. And then what we're gonna do is take this guy and seat it all the way against this plate. And you want the open-ended, because if you don't, it's gonna run out of space before you bottom out. And you can run like a nut on in between this to get around that, but I figured an open-ended would just be easier. So now we just gotta ratchet this down and pull the stud all the way through. That should be about fully in there. So we'll take this back off. And just like that, our new wheel stud is installed. So originally I was gonna put this back on the truck and put the truck in drive and just basically hold this up against it while it spins, clean it off, but I think it'll actually just be easier without having the studs poking through to be able to clean this just as it is off the truck. So I'm gonna sit here with this thing for a hot minute, get all the big stuff off, and then I'll probably go back with my drill and a wire brush and or a wire brush bit and get a lot of it off. It doesn't have to be perfect for the POR 15, but you definitely got to get most of it off especially all the flaky stuff. So here we go. I've got both of the rear drums taken off and cleaned up. Now the passenger side rear drum that you did not see me take off, I think what had happened is this was replaced at some point by a previous owner, because I don't think it's an OEM drum. The passenger side one did not have the thread. It has the holes, but they're not threaded. So I wasn't able to put a bolt in like I did on the driver's side, which you guys saw, to pry this off. So I had to spend a lot of time with a mallet and a lot of WD-40 to get that thing loose and pulled off. But as you can see, I've hit them both with the wire brush, clean them up. I'm letting them dry now. And we're gonna start with the POR 15. This box I've had for years. I used this on the trunk of the Prelude, the 88. If you guys remember, to cover up and fix some of the rust in there. And I've had this same set for a long time. So as long as you seal it back up, it should be good to go. And it sounds still like liquid, so I think it'll be all right. But it's a 3-step process. So once this dries, we're gonna hit it with the degreaser, spray it on both of the drums, and keep it wet, spraying this every now and then, keeping it wet for 10 to 15 minutes. Then you rinse it off with water, let it dry. Then you do kind of the same thing with the metal prep and keep it wet for 10 to 15 minutes, rinse it off, let it dry, and you'll find that the metal prep etches into the metal and creates a better surface for the POR 15 to stick to, and it'll create some surface rust, but that's okay. This POR, paint over rust, is what it's designed to do. So hypothetically, I could have just pulled these drums off, not even hit them with a wire brush, and put this on top. However, getting the big flaky stuff off is gonna produce a better outcome. So I'm not going for perfection here. I just want them to not be as rusty as they were and hopefully get some more years out of these. So I think these are just about dry now, actually. I'm gonna go ahead and mark the time and set a timer for 10 minutes. So we'll clear that out and start that. Okay, so now we're just gonna, wait, okay, degreaser, just wanna make sure. We're gonna make this wet all over, making sure to hit every side of it. And we're gonna keep this wet for 10 to 15 minutes, just spraying more of this on as needed. So that should be good. And simple as that. I'll monitor this for 10 to 15 minutes, keeping it wet, and then we'll move on to the metal prep. All right, so now that these are just about dry, I'm gonna go ahead and start prepping the POR 15. So I've already shaken this up for quite a bit. I'm gonna go ahead and put some gloves on, because never a bad idea. And then we can pop the can open. I'm gonna brush a layer of POR 15 on, and I think you can do multiple coats. I don't know if we're gonna need to. Okay, always apply in thin coats and always apply a minimum of 2. So that's gonna be the plan. This one's still drying around this, I think that's a weight. So I'm gonna start on this one over here. And we'll just break this can open, and hopefully the POR 15 is still good years later and looks to be still liquid. So I think we're in good shape. I've got these lifted off the ground to help get kind of full coverage. So I'm just gonna do what it says and start lightly brushing this on. I try not to go too ham on the first coat and just let it air dry, and then I'll put a second coat on. And what I find is, although you want to see like full coverage right out of the bat, right off the bat, it always takes forever to dry. So you're actually better off, and it ends up being faster doing light coats like it says. So just gonna get this first coat on, come back once it's relatively dry to the touch, and do at least 1 or possibly 2 more coats on these. But already that's gonna look so much better. It's day 2, and I let the drum brakes dry overnight. This is how they turned out. Definitely a heck of a lot better than the rust, that's for sure. So I'm gonna go ahead and put these back on. And yesterday, obviously, I got the new wheel stud put on, so should just be pretty straightforward as far as literally just shoving these things back over the brake shoes, reinstalling the wheels, and we'll take a look at how it all sits when it's installed. What am I saying? Let's put these back on. Just took it for a test drive. Works. Brakes work fine. I don't hear any rubbing or anything like that. So I'll show you guys up close what the refinished drum brakes look like. Certainly a little bit tough to see on camera, but that's because they're black now and they're not red rust, which they popped a lot more behind the Stealth Custom Series wheels, and now that they're black, it just kind of hides in the shadows, which is what I wanted. And then if you really get, you know, up close, well, yeah, it's just black. So I would say that that was a success. And now we can move on to other projects on the truck. So I figure while I'm out here painting, I want to repaint the wiper arms. If you can see here, this one especially is just really corroded. The black OEM paint is just flaking off at this point. So I'd like to take these off and then hit them with some self-etching primer and some flat black spray paint and reinstall. So I should just be able to pry up on this little cap here, just a little pick tool, which then reveals our bolt. And if I guessed correctly, yes, it's a 12 mil. So should be able to just loosen that, take the bolt off, and set that down. The wiper arm, yep, should just come right off. And now we can go ahead and take the blade off and refinish these arms. I've got the wiper arms just drying out in the sun after I hit them with degreaser and some soap and water. And then after that, we'll hit them with acetone, the self-etching primer, and then the flat black paint. But while I'm here with you guys, I wanted to give you a little tip. So with your wheel sockets, to get your lug nuts off, I recommend putting a little bit of duct tape around the end of it. So that way, when you put it in there and it tends to do this a bit, you're not scratching up the wheel where the lug nut sits. This little bit of duct tape helps protect it and just makes it actually a little bit easier to identify this. If you keep your sockets in like a giant bag full of a bunch of different stuff, the white tape or pink tape or orange tape, whatever it is, duct tape may help you grab it faster, but then also protects your wheels when you're installing and removing your lug nuts. So little self tip for you right there. Now it is extremely hot out today, and I'm gonna go ahead and swap the 3rd gen Prelude that's in the garage, pull it out, and then pull the truck in because I don't wanna be standing out in the blazing sun doing the roof rack stuff, the wipers, and then I have to do some other stuff still. So I'm gonna pull the truck into the garage and pull the Prelude out. So now we'll get these are pretty dang dry, and I'm gonna hit them with some acetone real quick. This is the paint I'll be using, Rust-Oleum self-etching primer, probably do 2, maybe 3 coats of that. And then I'm gonna use this Ace branded premium paint and primer, but I'm gonna definitely put the self-etching primer on first just because it's metal. But before we do that, I gotta put some acetone and wipe these down and get them fully ready for paint. So, well, the paint is drying. I'm gonna get my recovery boards reinstalled, which sit right up on my roof rack here, just using some tie-down straps because I still haven't figured out a better way to do it. But these are always good to have. One for recovery. If you get stuck, you get a little bit of traction that you otherwise might not have. But then also, they're really good. I use them more often when I get to camp, and if the truck's not level, I'll put these down and drive a tire or two up onto them to kind of level things out. But I want to definitely have these for when we go to Colorado, because one, we'll be doing a ton of camping, but then also might need them for recovery. That looks pretty centered. So just grab my straps and ratchet it down. And I guess these may not be technically like ratchet straps. They're more of the ones that just clamp onto the tether. Is that the right term? So I run these through here, up through the tether. I would definitely love to figure out a better way to mount these things so that way I don't have to mess with these. And then also it just probably would look a lot better, but get that nice and snug. And another thing I always forget is these things hold a lot of water when it rains. So many times after it's done raining, I'll go to drive the truck, roll the window down because it's hot as soon as I get in. And then as I start pulling out of my driveway, I just get dumped on by all the water that's stuck up in these recovery boards. And it goes right through my open window and douses me. But yeah, pretty snug. And that's only 3 out of the 4. So now that we have these on, should be one step closer to being ready for Colorado. And another thing that's been really driving me nuts is this light doesn't work. So obviously that one and the rear one comes on with the door, but the other one doesn't. So I'm gonna try and replace that bulb today. Just this little guy here. Comes right out. Oop, and that's probably why it doesn't work. One of the terminal ends just isn't sitting on the bulb. So let's replace it with a new one. And we'll have a spare for another time just in case we need it. Pop that in there, trying to not touch the bulb. And there we go. So to pop the cover back on, you just slide it from this way and it kind of just clicks into place. There you go. So now shut the door, open the door. It's the little things. Makes a big difference though, to me. And look what just showed up. Some stuff for the trip. So I haven't done an unboxing on this channel in a hot minute. Let's do an unboxing. Should have 2 items in here, which are gonna be hopefully quite helpful for this trip. So one, we've got a fan. And this is actually the second one of the same model that sells on Amazon. We've had one now for quite a number of months, and the thing is a tank. We've only charged it maybe twice in the entire time we've owned it. And charging cable, the battery on these things is insane. So, and the output is great. I mean, if you run it at like full strength all night, you'll probably run down to like 50%. So you might get 2 nights out of it. But usually we run it on like probably the lowest setting. And even right now, that's nice. So very, very useful. You got a little light on top, different brightnesses. You can set a timer. So if you just want it on until you fall asleep, set a timer for maybe 30 minutes to an hour, and then it will automatically shut off. It also has a hook on the bottom, so you can hang it and then tilt it in the direction that you want. So just an awesome fan. So good that we had to pick up a second one. So this will definitely be coming with us on the trip. And this one specifically is for my truck. And look at that. They changed the color to orange So it's gonna match my GFC perfectly. It's gonna blend right in. And then, yeah. Something else I'm very excited for is this. This is going to be a bag I hopefully never have to open on this trip, but should I need it, I think it will be quite helpful. So here, you got 2 buckles, and then it unfolds, and you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 large pouches with zippers. So you can store stuff like a hammer and wrenches. This is basically going to be a fold-up tool bag. And then you've got some smaller little pouches up here. Oh, that actually detach. That's pretty cool. So you could run maybe your sockets in here, bigger tools in these pockets. Oh, look at that. And they come with little like patches. So I'm assuming you could write, what is in each bag on there. So pretty useful. Again, hopefully not having to use this at any point, but should I need to, I think having the bag with stuff organized instead of just in a big bin is going to make hopefully any repairs that need to be done or maintenance a lot quicker and a lot more organized. So I was actually worried about this being too small, but I think for this type of trip, it's going to be perfect. So a couple little things in there, and I'll have a link down in the description if you guys want to pick them up. Can't speak highly enough about the fan. Not sponsored, just an awesome fan. And so far, quality on this looks good. So I'll put a link down in the description if you guys want to pick up either this or the Brilliant Orange fan. All right, arms are done and painted, so installation should be easy. The only thing is these are kind of notched in a way, so I'd imagine you have to kind of make sure you line it up the way I should probably put wipers on these so I don't totally crack my windshield. Yeah, little tip, if you're ever doing anything with your wiper arms, either put a rag over your, either put a rag over the end or on your windshield, or just keep the blades on so that way if it does snap off, it doesn't totally wreck your windshield. I have no idea which way this went, so I'm gonna guess something like that, perhaps. Tighten this down a bit. I don't have a torque spec for you on this. Usually I try and get you guys torque specs, but I'm gonna guess good and tight is good for this. So hop on and do the other side. Just gonna spray a little bit of like soapy water on here so that way it's not totally dry. Quick post install shot. Definitely a lot better than having that corroded metal coming through. So now it's all black and blends into the windshield and this black cowl at the bottom of the windshield. So nice little upgrade, not too hard to do, but another thing checked off the list. Okay, now I want to put this shield back on, the underside. If you guys watched, I think it's my last video, I mentioned I took this off to, I don't even remember what I was doing under here, but I never put it back on. And it's basically, its job is to protect debris from flying up and hitting your fan and other parts of the motor. So, I mean, it's a good idea to have it. And since we'll be doing some wheeling and off-roading in Colorado, I think it'd be a very good idea to have it. So it's just, at least on mine, I'm sure I'm missing bolts, but I've got 2, 4, 6 bolts. And it kind of hooks up here and then goes into this rear little shield as well. So try and finagle this in here. And there you have it. Front skid plate is now reinstalled and should be a little bit safer in the trails. Well, with that being said, that's the end of this one. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode. I will have an update and further info on the exciting trip that we have coming up, and I've got, again, some more mods to put on this thing before we hit the road, so look forward to that, and I will see you guys in the next one. Keep elevating, my friends. I love you all, and see you in the next time. next time. I always mess it, like I get to the very end. I will see you in the next video.